What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I am back in my room again. Usually record videos over there, used to at least, right? Visiting family for the week. And today I got to record my top 25 video. It is that time. I'm also going to apologize if it sounds more echoey than usual because I brought everything else for my mic. But for some reason, I did not bring the cable that I need to make my mic work. So don't know what happened there, but it will turn up and my mic will be back for my preview and predictions on Thursday. But today, it is a Monday. I posted my review yesterday, which means my top 25 is coming out today. October, and I keep saying it, is the gift that keeps on giving. Let me know if you guys want to continue to see more college football content from me. A couple ways you can do that. You can like the video. You can subscribe right now. Hit that red subscribe button. Share the video, leave a comment down below. Anything you can, help support the channel. Really does mean a lot to me. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my top 25 for this week. So as per usual, there are a couple teams that dropped out of my top 25 poll. That was Arkansas last week, who was at 17, BYU, who was at 18 last week, and Florida, who was at 23 last week. My first five out for this week, two of them, you see there, dropped out last week, Arkansas and BYU. But my first five out, and it would be my team number 26 if I had room for 26, is Purdue. Purdue with that amazing upset against Iowa last week. They've outgained every opponent they've played, including the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Purdue just missed the cut for me. There was a team that I had to keep in the top 25. That I was honestly kind of surprised when I found out both polls dropped. And that's Arizona State at number 25. But we'll get back to that. Some other teams I got down there are Utah, Virginia. You can throw out some other names. Air Force, Nevada, UTEP I had on there last week as well. But Clemson even. I can see getting Florida maybe. I can see them getting back into the top 25 poll. But those are my first five out. And let's get into the poll. You guys already heard me say it, and you see it on screen. Number 25 is Arizona State. I still have them in the rankings. Look, I like Jaden Daniels. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. And even though Arizona State lost that game to Utah, I still think they're the team to beat in the Pac-12 South. Utah, while they might have moved up there now, and the Pac-12 South more wide open than it's been, in my opinion, all year, I still think Arizona State is that team to beat. We'll get some really interesting games here. Arizona State's still got to play, or Arizona State's already beaten UCLA, but now UCLA and Utah have to play as well. So Arizona State, going to be big UCLA fans in that game, but Utah still got some other games there. I like Arizona State too much. I couldn't drop them out of the rankings, and I was honestly surprised when I found out that all the other rankings did. But regardless, Arizona State is still my 25th ranked team in the nation. New to the rankings this week are San Diego State. They have remained unbeaten, although I don't know how much longer they're going to stay unbeaten. They still have. I believe. I know they play Air Force this week. I believe they still have Fresno State and Nevada on the schedule. So some interesting games coming up for San Diego State. We'll see how long they stay undefeated. But for right now, they're at number 24. They're playing some really good football. Also, UTSA playing some really good football as well. They have remained unbeaten and have looked like the best team in Conference USA all year. They've beat a Power 5 opponent in Illinois. Frank Harris playing amazingly at quarterback, along with Sincere McCormick at running back. They ran through Rice last week, no problem at all. UTSA is the team that you got to watch out for. If you are a fan of a team that has UTSA left on the schedule, watch out. This is a very, very good football program. 22 is Pitt, who was not ranked last week, and honestly should have been in my first five, was my first six out last week. They should have been there. Pitt has been the team all year that I felt like, while I'm not picking them to win the ACC right now, this is the team that could be the most talented team in the ACC right now. Without a doubt, they deserve to be ranked. Pitt absolutely steamrolled Virginia Tech last week. This is a good Pitt team. Kenny Pickett has played really well this year, along with Jordan Addison, some other breakout players. The defense for Pitt has been playing well as well, but the focus this year is on the offense. Has been playing at an elite clip. Pitt deserves to be ranked. They finally are. They're at 22nd. And 21 for me is SMU. The Mustangs remain undefeated. after a bye week last week. But again, they had that scare against Navy a couple weeks ago. Cincinnati is still looming large on their schedule. You'll find out where I have Cincinnati here in a little bit. But for SMU, keep winning. You have a really good shot to win the American Athletic. Again, Cincinnati is still that team that you got to watch out for if you are a fan of SMU. But they move up 3 spots to number 21. By the way, Arizona State moving down 9 spots from 16th. And UTSA, of course, I had it at 25th last week. Again, moving up 2 spots. But you guys can see all that. Let's move on here into my top 20. And 20, I have Baylor, a team who was also not ranked in my poll last week, but I did have them ranked the week before. So I had them ranked the week before, and they lost to Oklahoma State, and I dropped them out. And after seeing what Oklahoma State did in Texas, I had to move Baylor back in. This is still a really good Baylor team. Had a great win last week as well. So for Baylor, honestly, I think sky's the limit for this team. Can they go out and win the Big 12? Yeah. I still think they can. Oklahoma's starting to find their step, but this Baylor team is really talented. Interesting matchup against Oklahoma still on the schedule. Again, their only losses to Oklahoma State, who, as I just mentioned, has remained unbeaten. This is the Baylor team that deserved to be ranked, and they are. They're at number 20th. Couple ACC teams up next, each moving up 2 spots. That's NC State and Wake Forest. Again, I'm not ready to jump this Wake Forest team into the top 15 like you've seen the USA Today coaches poll do. I'm not ready to get there quite yet with Wake Forest. They haven't played anyone in my mind that is like breathtaking. They haven't beaten anyone in my mind that's like, oh, wow, okay, that's a pretty solid team. They're going to get those opportunities. They play Clemson. They play Boston College. I believe they play NC State down the road as well. And North Carolina is still on their schedule. So still some chances for Wake Forest to go out and prove that, hey, we're a legit team in the ACC. Coming off the bye week last week, we'll see how they do this week. Probably should win this game. I believe they're playing Louisville. If I'm not mistaken, they might be playing someone else. Not sure. But Wake Forest, the only undefeated team left in the ACC. I love Sam Hartman. Been playing some good football. They just got to get some resume builders, before I can jump them higher. You know who has a good resume builder right now, though, is NC State, who's the other ACC team. And my pick right now to win the ACC. They're the highest ranked ACC team, in my opinion, as of right now. This team has it all. A good offense, a good quarterback in Devin Leary, some good playmakers around him, including Zonovan Knight at running back. And the defense this year has been playing at an elite level for ACC standards. North Carolina State, absolutely my pick to win the ACC right now. It's why they're the highest ranked ACC team here. And they have the win against Clemson to prove it. Now, I know Clemson hasn't looked great this year, and Clemson's just kind of been surviving as of late. But NC State, still my pick to win the ACC. Also up 2 spots from last week is Texas A&M. They did not have any trouble with Missouri last week. So Texas A&M, a good win there at Missouri. They got to keep it going. They got to prove that Alabama game was not a fluke. Zach Calzada didn't really do that much last week against Missouri, but they relied heavily on the run against Missouri. So in my opinion, Zach Calzada has got to remain consistent. He's got to continue to prove that Alabama game is the real Zach Calzada, because we have no idea if Haynes King is coming back this year. Odds are probably not. So Zach Calzada, being the future at quarterback for Texas A&M, at least this season, he's got to prove that Alabama game, was not a fluke. And that overall, that Alabama game was not a fluke. But overall, Texas A&M, absolutely deserving of the top 25 spot. To me, they're number 17, and both of the polls would agree with me there. 16th is Coastal Carolina. Again, this team has been hovering right around this spot all year because they just haven't had a resume builder quite yet. We know they're a good team. They've proven they're a good team. Yes, they had that early struggle with Buffalo, but ever since then, they've been dominant. They have a game this week against App State, though, and that is going to be a great resume booster if Coastal Carolina can come in and blow them out. We just saw Louisiana blow out App State, so App State might be looking to fight back, might be looking to get a win here, pull off the upset against Coastal Carolina. If you remember in the preseason, this was the upset and the loss I picked for Coastal Carolina. But again, that is a very interesting game to watch on Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday, We got college football. It's Coastal Carolina, App State. I'll go ahead and make my prediction now. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Chanticleers. I think the Chanticleers are the more talented team than App State, and I think the Chanticleers are going to hand App State their second straight loss. But back to the top 25. Again, if they can beat App State and beat them handedly, they might jump up a couple spots in my poll. Are they a threat to crack the top 10? With the schedule they have, probably not. But again, still a good top 25 team. There they are at number 16. Moving up here, 15 is Notre Dame. They drop a spot after the bye week last week. Not much more to say about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got a lot of stuff they can improve upon. But overall, 15th, not a bad place to be, in my opinion. For Auburn, though, they jump up 8 spots to number 14. So my hot take of the past couple of weeks has been Auburn, how highly I've ranked this team. If you remember, I had them at 11, and then they went and played Georgia, and they got beat. I dropped them 11 spots because I thought they could have played better, and a lot of teams passed them that week. You'll notice Kentucky, who's ahead of them, just lost to Georgia, and I only dropped them 3 spots. That's because I still felt like Kentucky played a solid game against Georgia. It's just that Georgia defense is really good. I thought Levis had a good game. Rodriguez, while he was limited, the carries he had were pretty solid. So Kentucky, you see there at 13, only dropping 3 spots. But Auburn, moving up 8 spots. That's a great win on the road against a good Arkansas team who I have in my first 5 out. On the road, nonetheless, they've beaten an LSU team that just went and beat Florida. Again, it's hard to kind of compare anyone to Georgia right now with the way that they're playing. But nonetheless, Auburn at number 14, Kentucky 13 after that loss to Georgia. I think these 2 teams are still legit teams in the SEC. We'll see what happens this moment on for both of these teams. But Kentucky has already beaten Florida. I think Kentucky has a great chance to go 10-2, if not 11-1. They don't have to play Bama. Auburn, you still got Bama on the schedule. Watch out. Iowa, after the upset, Iowa drops 10 spots in my poll, guys. Iowa showed that they don't have a great offense this year. I still think expectations are there, right? Spencer Petras is in his second year at quarterback. There are some expectations. It doesn't help, though, when your leading pass catcher is a tight end, Tommy Laporta. But he has guys around him. Nico Reganey, among others. Tyler Goodson, I think, is one of the best backs in America, has not yet been able to get it going this year. And while this defense has been nothing short of spectacular, we saw what happens when Iowa plays from behind in that game against Purdue. Nonetheless, the game was at home as well to a Purdue team that I didn't have that high of expectations coming into this year. But again, I just said it earlier this video, they've outgained everyone they've played. And they won the turnover battle against Iowa. So again, we saw what happened with this Iowa team once they get beat. Probably not a threat to make the college football playoff unless they win the Big Ten and they start getting their offense together. But for me right now, Iowa's at 12th. I've said it all year, got to get that offense figured out. You know who doesn't have to get their offense figured out? Ole Miss. And while it wasn't the offensive shootout in Rocky Top we thought it was going to be, they still do move up 2 spots because, again, teams ahead of them fell. And Ole Miss came with all their players unscathed after that scene at Rocky Top. If you don't know what happened, go read about it. Go watch my review video. I talk a little bit about it as well, but I encourage you to go elsewhere. Watch some actual videos of it. It was an insane scene. But Ole Miss able to come out of Rocky Top with a win against a pretty solid Tennessee team. So Ole Miss, they still got Alabama left on the schedule. Liberty is on the schedule as well. So still some interesting games for Ole Miss. See what happens the rest of the way. They're at number 11. Time to get into the top 10. And at 10, I have Oregon. Since this Ohio State win, Oregon has just not looked like a college football playoff contender. Anthony Brown might be the problem at Oregon, but I don't think he is the whole story. I do think, though, that he is, while the talent is there, and Anthony Brown, I think, is a good quarterback, I don't think he's an elite quarterback, a quarterback that can really drive a team to the college football playoff or to a national championship. Oregon's already lost CJ Verdell for the year. Travis Dye looked good in that game against Cal, but again, they struggled against Cal. Oregon's got to stop struggling against teams they can beat, and they have a huge game this week on the road against UCLA. That's going to be a very fun game to watch. We'll see what happens there. But Oregon If they can go and they can beat UCLA, especially if they can beat them handedly, I think the conversation is going to change about this Oregon Ducks team. Couple Big Ten teams you see here at 9 and 8. 9 is Michigan State, moving up 2 spots. They avoid an upset at Indiana. A huge game coming up for Michigan State in a couple of weeks. That battle with Michigan, who you also see on screen at number 6. So for Michigan State, this team is really, really good. We're going to find out how good they are once they play Michigan. Again, they haven't really faced a team that is going to say, oh, okay, wow, that's a really good team. They haven't faced one of those teams yet. Penn State, meanwhile, at 8, they faced Auburn and they've won. As you know, I have Auburn ranked 14th. I think Auburn is really good. They've also faced Iowa. And again, I'm going to argue if Sean Clifford didn't get hurt, probably would have won that game, especially when we see what Iowa just did against Purdue. They fell on their face. So Michigan State here at number 9, Penn State at 8. Huge games coming up for both of these teams in a couple weeks. But Penn State has Illinois this week, little tune-up game before that big test against Ohio State. Respectively, I have them at 9th and 8th. Oklahoma State, though, I do have at number 7, jumping up 5 spots. Oklahoma State just showed me they are a legit team. I still think their offense needs a little bit of work, but Jaylen Warren has been absolutely fantastic. I think Spencer Sanders needs to get more consistent, play at the level we know he can play at. He's got some good weapons at wide receiver. He's just got to start playing like it. But the defense is going to keep Oklahoma State in at least every single game they play this year. It's been fantastic. Oklahoma State has been nothing short of spectacular this year. And again, I still think there are things to improve on. They're at number 7, undefeated. And I like their chances to remain undefeated before they go play Oklahoma in Bedlam. Got Iowa State this week. That's an interesting one. We'll see what happens there. Michigan is at number 6. They're coming off of the bye week. Again, they get Northwestern a tune-up game before a huge matchup against Michigan State. Michigan has been an interesting team to watch all year. With Corum and Haskins again coming off the bye. We'll see how they do. All right, jumping into the top 5. You guys know who they are by now, but Alabama is here at number 5, jumping up 1 spot, along with Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Cincinnati. Each of them jump up 1 spot. Georgia, of course, is still that number 1 team in the nation. I don't think there's any surprise there. The big battle for number 2. Is it Cincinnati? Is it Oklahoma? Right now, I think it's Cincinnati, and I want people to stop. Seriously, stop talking about Cincinnati's strength of schedule. I do not care that Cincinnati plays in the American Athletic. They have beat some really good teams this year. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Indiana. Both of those games on the road. They're going to have a chance, I believe, here to beat SMU. I don't believe they play Houston, but they're going to have a chance here to play at SMU, and SMU is looking like a wagon this year. Stop talking about Cincinnati's strength of schedule. This team is good enough to make the college football playoff, and they have shown that this year. Oklahoma, on the other hand, you could make a case for them being at number 2. With Caleb Williams coming in, playing at quarterback, this has looked like a completely different team. They've looked like a college football playoff contender. I think the storyline, though, now is Spencer Rattler. This is a quarterback coming in that a lot of people are picking to win the Heisman. First overall NFL draft pick. He was getting that hype, and now probably going to end up being on the bench. So what happens with Spencer Rattler going forward, I think is going to be a big storyline to watch. But Caleb Williams, Superman as they call him on campus, has played phenomenally and will continue to play phenomenally for Oklahoma. They got a really interesting month in November, though. They got to play Baylor, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State for their last 3 games. That's very interesting. We'll see what happens with the Sooners later on. We're going to skip Ohio State and go to Alabama. I have Alabama at 5. Look, they got right back to being Bama. They killed Mississippi State. They left no doubt in that game. There's not much more to say. Bama has now looked like Bama, but they still have the blemish on the record to Texas A&M. And Ohio State has a blemish on the record as well. But it is to Oregon, a team that I feel like when they play at their best is better than Texas A&M. And I feel like has shown that this year. Look, when you go back and watch that Oregon and Ohio State game, that is what Oregon is capable of. They haven't played the best up to that. But when you look at this Ohio State team, it's a completely different team than the team that played Oregon. CJ Stroud has fixed his problem and fixed his problems and looked like an elite quarterback. Ohio State has the best skill group in college football. Travion Henderson in that running back room is fantastic, along with Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba in that wide receiver room is filled with a lot of talent as well. Even the tight end, Jeremy Rucker, who hasn't gotten super involved this year, can play like a fourth wide receiver for this team. Along with the defense is getting a lot better for Ohio State. I think now with Iowa dropping out, Ohio State has gone back to being the team to beat in the Big Ten. This is how my top 5 shakes out. Yeah, a lot of red in the top 5, lots of shades of red. But guys, there you go. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That is where I'm going to leave this top 25 video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all that fun stuff. And as usual, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys on Thursday with my week preview and predictions. Again, early prediction for the game on Wednesday. It's Coastal Carolina App State. I'm picking Coastal Carolina Chanticleers win that one over the Mountaineers. Again, see you guys all on Thursday. Goodbye.